Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Also a warm welcome from my side, from the European Asphalt Pavement Association. It's a big honor for me to be again here. It's my third time to be here on stage to give a presentation. It's a big honor for me to be invited by organizers again. And I really love to be here because I like this kind of event. I like that so many people from Czech Republic and the countries around Czech Republic come here to discuss about our black material. The presentation today is not about all the work that the EAPA does, but I have prepared some selected hot topics which I want to give you further details on. And I think you're all aware, Marcus mentioned it a little bit, that EAPA and Eurobitume are working close together. We are the association of the national associations in Europe. So the Czech Association is a member, the German Association is a member, the Slovenian Association is a member, the Hungarian Association. So we are representing these associations in Europe, so we give one voice to them. The topics that I've selected, you can see them here. I don't want to read them all, and I don't have the time to go in detail to all these topics, but I will at least go for some topics in a more detail. This week in Strasbourg, where you know the second seat of the European Parliament is, there will be the election if the new commissioner and the new commission will come in place. So Ursula von der Leyen will be elected from the European Parliament either today or tomorrow, and then we will have, based on the elections or the European elections from May this year, we will have a new European government. And a few weeks ago, Ursula von der Leyen already published a kind of manifesto, a union that strives for more, my agenda for Europe. And when you look at this, there's a lot of topics inside that will somehow steer the work of the European Association, at least in the next 5 years. So you see, she wants to be the first climate-neutral continent in the world. And I have more of that. She does not only want to reduce the CO2 emissions from 30% like the Paris Agreement, she also wants to reduce it by 55%, so very ambitious. This has also something to do with our industry, I will show you later. She will establish an emission trading system also for the construction sector, and she will have new industrial approaches, and she will pick up what we already had before, the circular economy. I will come to that later. She thinks that we need to change the way we produce, consume, and trade, so production is something that has to do with our industry. A zero pollution ambition to protect citizens' health, so preserve Europe's natural environment, and to have a new circular economy action plan. So as you see, that's very ambitious. And we come also to plastics. She wants to reduce the single use of plastics, and she wants to do something about microplastics. And we come to a future topic, which is the digitalization, and also the European Commission is aware that industry has to transform or has a transmission to be more digital, to be more up to date. So when we talk about the reduction of emissions, then you see there's a lot of emissions that can be reduced that are related to our industry. We have the CO2, we have NOx, we have noise, which is also an emission, we have fine particles, fumes, and aerosols, which are important for the health of our workers. And the European asphalt industry and the association already is dealing with these topics, and I want to show you by the example of CO2 emissions what's already possible in Europe in the different countries. So during the production and use phase of an asphalt pavement, there are different steps where CO2s, for example, can be reduced. So if you look at this table, then you see that in different stages during the materials, the transport, and the production of the asphalt mix at the plant itself, that there is a possibility to reduce CO2 emissions by dry aggregates, by the reuse of asphalt, and by different kind of fuels that you use that are not oil-based. And that could sum up to a reduction of more than 38%. So if a ton of asphalt today is produced with 51 kilogram CO2 emissions per ton, this is a chart from Scandinavia, from our Scandinavian members, then you see already today it is possible to reduce it by 38%. So if you look at this ambition from Ursula von der Leyen, then you will see some things we can already provide from the industry. But that's not all. We have more. When you look at the raw materials, Markus mentioned that Eurobitume took care of the CO2 or the impact of 1 ton of bitumen, so we will get new figures here. So if there are changes in production, we will find that also, because it's linked, it's a basis material for asphalt. Aggregates could be produced maybe with electric vehicles someday, so they have less impact on CO2 emissions. Then it also reduces the CO2 emissions of the product where they go in, so the asphalt. We have transport distances that could be better organized. We have new technologies like low temperature asphalt, I come to that later. And even during the use phase, with smooth surfaces and with durable pavements, we can reduce CO2 because cars driving over a smooth pavement don't need so much fuel, it's less CO2 at the end, and pavements that last very long don't have to be rebuilt, rehabilitated, so we also save energy. So one example is low temperature asphalt. In Europe we speak about warm mix asphalt or cold mix asphalt technologies. So I don't want to go in detail to these technologies, but as a rule of thumb, you can say that if you reduce temperature during the production process, you can reduce energy consumption during the production by 10 to 15%. So that comes on top. So a lot of things is possible. And when you look at the charts that I've shown here, that in the US, there's already a market share of warm mix asphalt of 40%. In Europe, it is 2 or 3%. And if you look at some countries in Europe more detailed, you see that France and the Scandinavian countries already have a remarkable number or a remarkable figure of warm mix asphalt production. So asphalts with really 20 degrees reduced production temperatures. And this is not only due to reducing CO2 emissions, it's also because of the health of the workers. Because reduced exposure fumes with reduced temperatures makes the workplace with fumes and aerosols better for the workers. And there are also some paving operations benefits with that. Another hot topic, maybe you also have this discussion in your country, but a lot of countries around the world, the US, UK, Australia, and in Europe, we have the discussion to put some materials from other industries as waste product from these industries to asphalt. So asphalt is black, of course, yes, but that does not mean that you can put everything inside. So we have to be a clear position from EAPA to contribute to these discussions. So what is possible, where are the limitations? And we created 2 or 3 years ago this document here, you can download on the EAPA website, where we have a clear idea what should be put in asphalt or not. It is not the material itself, it's not said about, for example, plastic, use plastic yes or no. It's a procedure inside, you have to click different boxes. If you think this is okay, then go ahead and use it. But be careful what you do, and the next slides show this. So it's asphalt and not trash asphalt. So not waste materials from other industries should go in this high technology product asphalt. It's still black as it was 20, 30, 40 years ago, but it's a high technology product. If you look all the things that go inside today. So we should be careful. We should be careful that we don't put anything inside that harms future use of asphalt. So we should not have disadvantages to reduce this material, not to health, not to safety, not to the general public, to the environment, to be not able to reuse it anymore and to not be able to recycle it anymore. And the first priority should always be asphalt that comes from an existing road that has been reclaimed should go again in an asphalt road. Asphalt remains asphalt and becomes not a black rock. So the terms are important. If we speak in the English language, it's reuse. We use the material in the same way we used it before. A brick is a brick, and is a brick also in future. Asphalt remains asphalt. And recycling is a level below, because it means we use it somehow in the construction sector. So this is the level of the waste policy. So first is prevention, have long-lasting roads, repair them, maintain them. If you can't do this, reuse the material in a new road again, and then it comes to recycling. So recycling is only the third or fourth level in this hierarchy. And as you can see, the asphalt industry is doing quite well in Europe based on our figures that we collect around Europe. You see the reuse of asphalt is already by 68%. So asphalt goes back into asphalt. And only 20% is recycled, and of 12% we don't know exactly where it goes to, sometimes in some countries also to landfill. And of course also the digitalization and the discussions in all the industry, in construction 4.0, industry 4.0 is also a topic in EAPA. And it has also have a big impact, so we created the Asphalt 4.0, at least topic inside EAPA. And it is based on all these changes and the digital revolution and the transition of all the industries that has taken place with developments in robotic, machine-to-machine communication. Construction machines communicate nowadays. They collect a lot of data which can be used to steer processes, to have quality control. We have building information modeling. We have pavement information modeling, PIM and BIM, and so on. So this new technologies, this new digitalization process will improve the efficiency of different areas where the asphalt industry is active in. And based on this, European Asphalt Pavement Association has recently created a new committee, Asphalt 4.0, where we want to make the industry fit for the future, be prepared, and already collect what is there on the market from the machinery, from the equipment suppliers, and from the technologies. And Marcus also already mentioned it, so we have the E&E Congress, and the theme of the E&E Congress is Asphalt 4.0 for future mobility. So we will talk about this in more detail when we meet next year in May in Madrid. And as Marcus already mentioned, since yesterday the registration for the Congress is open, so it's only 6 months to go. Then there will be this big event of the European industries, of Eurobitume and EAPA take place in Madrid in a very nice venue, and I all want to invite you, and I would be very happy to welcome you, many of you, in Madrid next year. So I talked only about some of the hot topics that we are dealing with in Europe. Based on that, what the European government will bring on the table in the next years, what we are already working on. So we are, as you've seen, prepared for most of the topics that are on the table now. And so also this conference is dealing with these hot topics. So congratulations to the organizers. They have taken up some of these hot topics, and we will discuss during the next days about this. So, and as I tried to show you, the European Asphalt Pavement Association is already working on these topics and to provide to the European industry our support, to our members also in the Czech Republic. Thank you very much for your attention.